at 10. A Temple community petitioning against a new development in their area. We explain. Plus, we dive into the constantly evolving and highly discussed topic of college football and its return. And after 4 years serving Central Texas, a final goodbye from me to you. 6 News at 10 starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Emani Payne. We begin tonight in Killeen, where police are investigating a shooting. It happened around 4 this afternoon at the McDonald's on South Fort Hood Street. Police say a man and woman were arguing when the man fired his gun at the woman's car with her and 4 children inside. Only minor injuries were reported from broken glass. An investigation is underway. People living in Temple say the city is considering zoning for a gas station in the middle of their neighborhood, which right now only consists of homes. Now they're putting together a petition to stop that from happening. 6 News reporter Andrew Moore shows us where it would go and why locals are upset about it. Andrew.
Yeah, we found out today many people in the neighborhood are not happy with the situation, but some still have the questions: what exactly is going on and what can they do about it if they disagree? Fortunately, we have those answers.
This past Wednesday afternoon is when I found out about it.
The city of Temple is going to consider rezoning this land on Midway Drive in Temple for the purpose of putting a gas station on the property. Unless you live within 200 feet of the property, however, the city did not notify you. Of course, Midway Drive is a through street, and when Stephen Patterson found out on Facebook, he decided to do something.
And I've put together a petition to oppose the construction work that's being proposed for that site.
Patterson and other neighbors we spoke to today say it's not hard to find reasons to oppose the construction.
The middle of a complete residential area is right down the street from a middle school, directly across the street from a fire station.
But what is hard is finding out when and how to oppose it. The project will be considered by Planning and Zoning in June and could be approved by the Temple City Council as early as July. But 6 News could not find any of that information online because the agendas are not posted yet. Instead, we had to track down the letter the city of Temple only gave to local property owners. Then Patterson found out the zoning case's public hearing had been moved after getting an email from the city, so the letter's date is already wrong. To keep up with the correct date, citizens will need to consistently check the Planning and Zoning Commission website for the right hearing date, and will need to call a hotline to participate. Patterson says he will be keeping track of all of this as the petitions roll in.
I will personally present them to the city council and to the Planning and Zoning Commission myself.
Of course, if you live within 200 feet of this project, you will have even more influence by the rules the city of Temple follows. But you are going to need numbers, websites, and a specific zoning application number in order to do that. And fortunately, we have all of that information at KCENTV.com. In Temple, Andrew Moore, 6 News.
Now to the latest coronavirus numbers around our area. No new cases were reported in Bell County today. There are 201 cases. 123 people have recovered and 3 people have died. No new cases were reported in McLennan County today. The total sits at 94 cases. 85 people have recovered, 4 have died, 1 remains in the hospital. Brazos County reported 9 new cases today for a total of 265 cases. 120 people have recovered there, 18 people have died. For the full list of cases, visit kcentv.com/coronavirus. While sports have been on pause, there has been constant talk about whether they can be played in time for football season this fall. It's a constantly evolving topic, but why is it the main point of focus, especially in college sports? Curtis Quillen dug through the numbers to explain why football is so important to college sports.
The finances of college athletics are anything but simple, but seem to boil down to a simple point. Essentially, football funds it all. Every college athletic department in the country is required to turn in these Equity in Athletics Data Analysis Reports. And these reports from the Big 12 Conference's 10 members illustrate that picture perfectly. The most recent EADA reports available are from the 2018-19 school year. In that year, the Big 12 was fortunate in that none of its athletic departments operated at losses. 3 broke even: Baylor, TCU, and West Virginia. All 10 football programs profited, ranging from West Virginia's $2 million to Texas' almost $113. If you look at Baylor specifically, the athletic department as a whole broke even. In the 2018-19 school year, the football program profited almost $14.6 million. And while the other sports-specific categories are all listed as breaking even, the profits from football funded the department's operations for the year. At Texas, if you eliminate the football line, the Longhorn Athletic Department goes from netting more than $40 million to losing more than $72 million. OU, which netted more than $50 million from football, would go from operating with a slight profit to losing all of that money. This goes to show why major schools like Cincinnati and Old Dominion have cut sports in the past month, and why every other college in America is hopeful it will get its football season in. Right now, it's too early to tell the status of football season this fall, but many colleges across the country, like Baylor, are hopeful they will be able to return to the campus in August. Curtis Quillen, 6 Sports.
The COVID-19 crisis continues to hit the White House. Now, 3 members of the coronavirus task force are isolating after being exposed to the virus. And Trump administration officials are warning the economy will take another hit in May. They're expecting employment numbers to be worse than April's historic rates. NBC's Jennifer Johnson reports tonight from Washington.
3 members of the White House coronavirus task force are under self-quarantine after being exposed to COVID-19. CDC Director Dr. Robert Redfield, FDA head Dr. Stephen Hahn, and top infectious disease doctor Anthony Fauci. Further proof of how difficult this virus is to control.
We have to understand that we're riding this tiger, we're not directing it. This virus is going to do what it's going to do.
All 3 will now testify before a Senate Health Committee via video teleconference this week. COVID-19 getting into the West Wing after Katie Miller, the vice president's press secretary, and a valet serving President Trump his meals tested positive. Miller had been cleared 1 day before. The president, vice president, and others are now being screened daily.
You can test negative even though you've been exposed to the virus, and then you need to wait a few days to make sure that it's not going to take off on you.
Meanwhile, after April's dismal numbers, White House officials predict the unemployment rate will rise to 20% in May. But there are no plans yet for another economic stimulus bill.
If we need to spend more money to protect the American worker and the American public, we'll absolutely do that. But now, having spent $3 trillion, we're going to take a few weeks.
As states relax stay-at-home orders, new outbreaks are emerging, one after a party in California in violation of state rules. In Florida, beaches are packed, officials closing them in Naples. Tough decisions as some abandon social distancing rules. Jennifer Johnson, NBC News, Washington.
Well, it's time now for a first check of our weather. Meteorologist Bill Hecky is standing by with the details. Hey, Bill.
Hello, Emani, and hello to you. We've got pretty much an open sky. I can see a little high cirrus out there, so it's the cirrus near us. We're 63 degrees at Temple. We've got 61 at Waco, and the winds are fairly light. We're going to start in the morning and generally run a partly cloudy day. We may go occasionally mostly cloudy, but a lot of that height in cirrus clouds. Your full forecast coming up shortly. Emani.
All right, thanks, Bill. There's a fight tonight over face protection, when and where you should be wearing it. It's an issue dividing a lot of people, and now some of those disagreements are turning violent. NBC's Sarah Harmon has more.
Outside. Don't touch me! Outside. That's the second time you've touched me!
Cell phone video taken by Nick Connolly at a Giant Eagle grocery store in Pennsylvania.
We live in America where if you have a note to not wear a mask, look at this.
Connolly told NBC News the confrontation occurred as he tried to explain he has a doctor's note exempting him from wearing a mask due to panic attacks.
Do you feel that when you go into a grocery store without a mask that you're putting anyone else at risk?
That's hard to say. That's a really tough question for me to answer. No, me personally, if I was scared, I would stay home. I'm just not scared.
Contacted by NBC News, the store responded in part, "We are committed to safeguarding the health and well-being of our team members and guests while creating a safe and comfortable environment for everyone." It's the latest in a growing number of incidents across the country. In Michigan, 3 people have now been arrested and charged with first-degree murder in connection with the fatal shooting of a security guard at a Family Dollar store over a dispute about masks.
This was extremely senseless over a mask.
In Miami Beach, a Publix customer went on an explicit rant after being denied entrance for not wearing a mask. In Alabama, an off-duty officer was seen body slamming a woman at a Walmart when she allegedly refused to wear a mask. But for today's business owners, requiring masks is a fraught decision. Will and Amy Wilson have run this Salt Lake City butcher shop for 30 years and recently made masks mandatory.
And I can't tell you how ugly some of the comments started to come in, where we were called Nazis, just all sorts of things, and it hurts.
They say it's to protect their employees. Amy is immunocompromised.
We're not political. We're not making a political statement. We're not trying to be right. We're just trying to be right-minded.
Wearing a mask, an increasingly polarized decision with very real consequences. Sarah Harmon, NBC News.
There are troubling developments in the COVID-19 crisis. More children have died from what doctors call a disturbing syndrome linked to coronavirus and marked by heart failure and high fever. This after months of speculation that children might not get that sick from coronavirus. Now parents and healthcare workers are on high alert. Here's NBC's Kathy Park.
Tonight, the mystery deepens as the death toll rises in New York among children diagnosed with complications from the coronavirus.
The illness has taken the lives of 3 young New Yorkers.
The state investigating 73 cases.
One of the few rays of good news was young people weren't affected. We're not so sure that that is the fact anymore.
Doctors are calling the illness pediatric multi-system inflammatory syndrome. The symptoms are similar to Kawasaki disease, which could potentially damage the heart or blood vessels. NBC News found cases in at least 8 other states and Washington, D.C. Dr. Jane Newberger is with the American Heart Association's Young Hearts Council.
Why do you think we're learning about these cases now?
It's a later phenomenon than the initial COVID infection, and it does suggest that there is something about the immune system in some individuals that makes you susceptible to react to having had COVID this way.
The growing health concern now reaching the CDC as the agency partners with New York to learn more about the COVID-related illness.
And that's what's so scary about this. First, children are fine, not a problem. And the next thing, look what happened.
Now a parent's worst nightmare as the virus raises more questions. Kathy Park, NBC News, New York.
Still to come, we're breaking down what resources are available to Texans on the job search. Plus, we separate fact from fiction in tonight's Verify. Welcome back. If you're able to work, we have resources to help you land a new job. Reporter Erica Proffer tells us what groups around the state are doing to get you employed.
The latest unemployment numbers show more than 2 million Texans are out of work right now. And the state job board, workintexas.com, show less than 500,000 jobs available. So how do you stand out? Texas Workforce Solutions is divided into regional boards. There's 28 of them. Through them, you can get interview training.
We'll get you back out there.
Attend job fairs.
Interviews and
virtually for now. Plus a new focus, specific employment training.
We provided supply demand information with those lists to boards, and we've asked them to build or procure some short-term training programs to really build up the workforce in those areas if our labor market data shows that we have a shortage.
If you're ready for work now, a lot of those regional boards have cash coming their way. A lot of cash. The Department of Labor gave $12 million to Texas for unemployment help, and 16 of those 28 boards raised their hand for some of that money. Alamo, Capital Area, Dallas, Tarrant County, and Gulf Coast will get $1.3 million. Rural Capital outside Austin, nearly $639,000. Borderplex, Middle Rio Grande Valley, East Texas, South Plains, a little more than $500,000 each. And these others will get anywhere from $73,000 to $385,000. Some strings attached. Some of the money will go to training, but most of it will go to immediate jobs. Jobs in cleanup and recovery efforts regarding COVID-19 and humanitarian assistance.
They can work at food banks, and also they can be paid to drive and provide medication and food to people who are homebound. So there's a lot of valuable activity happening.
You can get in on all of this at workintexas.com. Scroll down and click to see your local offices. I'm Erica Proffer.
As the weather begins to get warmer, you'll likely be cranking up your air conditioning inside your car and inside your home. But could that be a dangerous move? Here's what Ohio Department of Health Director Dr. Amy Acton said on Tuesday.
What we really want to be doing now with coronavirus is actually drawing in more outside air. So maybe taking the setting and making sure that you're not just recycling air in your house.
So let's verify. The claim that an HVAC system can spread the virus likely stems from this study out of China, which the CDC has posted on its website. Essentially, it found there was a coronavirus outbreak at one Chinese restaurant when 10 of 83 customers inside tested positive after dining there, and it linked the restaurant's airflow to the spread of droplets. This is where some doctors say we need to be really careful. Yes, the transmission was linked to airflow, but that doesn't mean your AC is the perpetrator. First off, ProMedica Dr. Brian Kaminsky says this is just one study, the only one with any merit across the world.
Although you might make an argument that it's plausible, it's very, very unlikely. And if we were to get distracted by that and say we need to start focusing on air conditioners right now, we would lose that focus on the person-to-person transmission where the real differences are really made.
Even this Chinese study says 6 smear samples from the air conditioner were negative, and researchers did not conduct an experimental study simulating the airborne transmission route. The American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers even went a step further, saying ventilation and filtration provided by heating, ventilating, and air conditioning systems can reduce the airborne concentration of the virus. Bottom line, one very specific and limited study links airflow with spreading the virus. But based on other information, it's highly unlikely your air conditioning will give you COVID-19. With your Verify, I'm Tyler Palin.
50 million American kids are now going to school at home, and an alarming study suggests students could lose significant math and reading skills, hitting students from lower income homes without devices or internet access even harder. NBC senior national correspondent Chris Jansing has the story.
When you hear Damian Goggins playing, you can feel his longing for a bigger life than the world around him, for a degree and a career in music therapy. But now that dream is increasingly uncertain.
It feels like I have to grow up fast.
How does that make you feel?
I don't know. It makes me feel kind of scared because I don't know if I'm ready to grow up yet.
The 16-year-old starts his day not by practicing, but by helping his little sister study. His family has had to move from his grandmother's house because she works in the COVID unit of a local hospital. Across the country, a generation of at-risk and low-income students like Damian are facing the prospect of a lost school year. In Cleveland, school CEO Eric Gordon knows the families have a lot of challenges.
Are they fed? Are they comfortable and safe?
Do they have proper care? Do they have access to the internet?
When schools closed in Cleveland, Gordon and his team set up 22 sites for takeout meals for students and their families.
Packets for you.
Distributed learning packets and have 20,000 laptops for kids in need.
We're going to have to see you online with our classes.
But one problem has proven harder to solve. An EdWeek survey finds that 36% of students in low-income schools are essentially truant, not logging into classes or making any contact.
And the students who are the most vulnerable in the classroom are the same students who is harder to contact now. But even holistically, even the students that are engaging right now in my district, I still feel like they're going to be behind.
We're looking at a recovery that's going to take a minimum of the next couple of years.
And the coronavirus pandemic is taking another unforeseen toll. Cleveland schools are 68% Black, and people of color have been especially vulnerable to COVID-19. So children of color are far more likely to lose a family member or know someone who has, or have a parent with a job suddenly deemed essential and are home unsupervised.
When I moved to senior year, I want to be able to understand what the teachers are talking about and things like that. So that's a little bit kind of like scary.
What the kids want is the things they feel that have been taken from them. I got to figure out a way to give back some sense of fairness where fairness feels stolen.
You seem emotional about that.
Look, I love this job, but they're my kids. And I work every single day for all of my kids to have what they want and deserve.
I keep telling my mom, I've never realized how much I miss school until I don't get to go to school.
And hoping to again make music in a world where his future is back in tune.
39,000 students are part of the Cleveland school system with a median family income of just over $32,000. That leaves Cleveland schools with a huge task as they fight to make sure their kids don't get left behind. Still to come after 4 years here in Central Texas, my final goodbye from me to you.
I'll have your forecast after the break. Well, we'll look at the flow pattern and kind of set you up for what's coming this week. Now, you can just about see the movement of these clouds give you a little clockwise circulation, then move to the southeast. So we've had an off-surface flow from the northwest, so that's kept us a little cooler. Also out here in the Ohio Valley's counterclockwise circulation, cold air is coming down behind it. So what it looks like we're going to do is set up a little surge of cool air that'll kind of sink into Texas from the northeast. That's a backdoor front. It's not going to amount to too much, but we're going to break this ridge down and we will start to get a flow pattern coming in from the west, and when we do, we'll enhance the flow out of the Gulf. So we put moisture up over this slightly heavier air, so we will increase clouds, maybe get a little bit of precipitation. I've got that on Tuesday. And then when this ridge breaks down, we'll bring a low in off the Pacific, and that should get us next weekend with a better chance of precipitation. Right now, it's just a few high clouds that are moving in from the west. And so we're not seeing too much. It's going to affect us. Observed high temperatures today. We're generally in the upper 70s with a few low 80s across the area. We're cooling down some now with an open sky, kind of radiational cooling. Our winds have been coming at us from the northeast and east, and they're trying to get around the east and southeast, so we're going to drop it down into the 50s tonight, but the winds will be fairly light. So we'll start 55 in the morning, make it to about 80. Here's that little overrun, minor chance, not too much of a change in temperature, next chance at precipitation, and then that front about next Sunday. And we'll be back after the break.
Welcome back. Now to a bit of personal news. Tonight will be my final newscast here at KCEN TV. I was just 21 years old when I arrived here fresh out of college, and you guys have been there with me every step of the way as I grew as a journalist and as a person. You embraced me completely. Every race, gender, community, political affiliation, you all embraced me. I realize how truly rare that is, and for that I am forever thankful. And of course, to the city of Killeen, who I love dearly, I am so grateful for my time with you. Together we helped a single mother whose house burned down receive a new home. Together we helped a young girl losing her eyesight have surgery so she can continue to see. Together we helped an incarcerated man receive a new trial. Together we sought justice and we got it. We sought out to help the community and we did just that. To everyone who shared their stories with me, their homes, or a simple hello, thank you. You are the reason I stayed here for 4 years. To my incredible weekend crew, thank you for working so hard over the years and becoming my closest friends. I have received a new opportunity to work with and learn from some of the best journalists in the business, an opportunity that was simply just too good to pass up. And I'll share more about that online in the coming days. But for now, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Getting to know all of you has been life-changing in the most amazing way. It has been an incredible 4 years. And just know that this is not a goodbye, Central Texas. It is absolutely a see you later. We'll be right back.
Well, the weather's going to be pretty nice tomorrow, but I wanted to say so long to Emani. You're definitely one pain that I'm going to miss. And so good luck to you, and God be with you.
You always make me laugh, even when I'm crying. It's been so great working with you, Bill. Thank you so much. And for the final time, good night and goodbye, Central Texas.